What's up, Buff fans? I'm here with my colleague, good friend, and one of the best reporters on the beat, Troy Finnegan. Wow, I'm like feeling very complimentary today, aren't I?
You really are. Thank you. What an intro.
I know, you've been so great this season. You've really been helping me out a lot. But, we wanted to get on here and talk about some basketball. The Buffs have a really important matchup tonight against number 10 Arizona. The Buffs haven't won in Tuscan since 1965. They haven't won on the road in a very, very long time against this really competitive, big, aggressive basketball team. They're ranked for a reason, but they are coming off a pretty interesting loss against Stanford. They lost 100 to 82, against the Cardinal, which is, they're getting some wins here and there, but you see Stanford and you see a team like Arizona, and there are some, it's like, why did this loss happen? So we want to get into this matchup and kind of break down the circumstances going into it, what we're looking at, kind of player health, and if the Buffs can come out with a win here. Just from practice yesterday, we got a kind of an update from Cody. He's getting better every day. It's unsure if he will play tonight against Arizona. The Buffs could definitely use him, but I think they are going to be out without Tristan Da Silva and Cody Williams, and one of the most important matchups of the season. I mean, these are the two of the best teams in the Pac-12 right now, and a win on the road, especially it's been such a long time, it would mean, according to Coach Boyle and just from the outside looking in, it would mean so much for this program to claim this win, but it's definitely going to be a challenge.
Yeah, big matchup tonight. Obviously, the health is still in flux, but so we'll see about that. Obviously, they would love to get some reinforcements back if they can. But Arizona's the class of the Pac-12 for a reason. I mean, they're a machine on both sides, top 10 in Ken Palm, offense and defense, and they're great at home. The Buffs have not. Arizona started playing in McKale in 1973. The Buffs have never won there. They haven't won a road game at Arizona in Tucson since 1965. So this team's trying to break new ground, but on paper Colorado looks like the second best team in the conference. They're in first place after Arizona's loss to Stanford, which you mentioned. Big 3-point shooting night for the Cardinal. In that one, I believe they were over 60%, which, sometimes you throw your hands up and tip your cap. The team shoots 60% from three. It's tough. But yeah, it's going to be tough. Colorado's got to deal with a lot of size, a lot of depth. Arizona plays really fast. They get up and down. And they've got really, really good guards, which, as we know, Colorado does as well with KJ Simpson. So it's going to be a good one. It's a big Pac-12 game when Bill Walton's in the building.
Of course, he's going to be calling the game tonight. You see these flashes and highlights of Caleb Love. He's been such an important piece for the Wildcats. And kind of what we heard in practice yesterday was Keshad Johnson and Omar Ballo, like guarding those guys specifically. I mean, these are guys that are averaging around 10 points a game. And, if you have all your starters getting within double digits, that's going to be quite a problem. So I think defensively, they're going to try to focus on their transition defense and kind of minimizing turnovers, things that you usually hear going into matchups. But I think both of those facets are going to be really important because this team does play fast, as you mentioned, and they have, they're they're number one, well, one of the best teams in the conference in assists. So is Colorado. They know how to distribute the ball well in the front court, and their size in the backcourt as well is also a challenge. But I think the way that KJ Simpson is playing right now, it gives the Buffs such an advantage. I think they were able to, distance themselves enough against Washington and Washington State, and like really like earn their wins and like really battle in both of those. And like this one, I think they have that same, that fire and that same talent and depth in order to, get those stops that they need, you know, kind of work more efficiently in the front court. But of course on the road, it's like this team is so good at home and they're so consistent, and it's like something that's on the road, especially in Arizona, is a factor that we have to take into consideration. So I mean, this is going to be a really I can't emphasize this enough. It's such an important matchup, and if Colorado comes out with a win, with everything going into this, then that it's going to be pretty definitive. Looking forward towards the tournament and maybe a Pac-12 championship. It'd be great, to leave the Pac-12 with one last championship. I mean, it's been since 2012, right? Since Tad Boyle's done that, but this is down the line. I'm very looking ahead here, but this is this is the game. This is like the non-conference game. Every year it's like, can Colorado beat Arizona? And this feels it'd be so much better, of course, if Cody Williams and Tristan Da Silva were playing. But the way that they are playing right now, it does feel like the matchup that they can have a competitive advantage, and they can potentially come out of the win, but it's not going to be easy.
Yeah, on the road, we heard Tad Boyle talking yesterday, not to us, but during practice, about attention to detail on the road in an environment like this. Mikhail's going to be rocking. It always is. And CU's going to have to do little things. Turnovers obviously have been the Achilles heel for this team. I looked this up before we got on. 19.6% turnover rate for Colorado is 281st in college basketball. It's been a thing all year. Tad Boyle has talked about wanting to stay under 11 turnovers, 11 or less, which they have missed the mark on that, I think, in almost every game. They might have gotten it once or twice. And things like staying out of foul trouble. Eddie Lampkin got into some of that against Washington State, did a great job against Washington of not getting in foul trouble. The backup big rotation's been shaky. Bangot Dak just getting back from an illness. He hasn't played since before Christmas on the 21st against Utah Tech was the last time he played. Boyle was kind of going back and forth between Hassan Jope and Joe Hurlbert against Washington State. But they really struggled when Eddie Lampkin was off the court. Eddie was plus 24 in 30 minutes against Washington State. So there's no question that they're a much better basketball team with Lampkin on the court. Him and Ballo is going to be a great battle. Ballo does get in some foul trouble, just like Lampkin. So that's going to be an interesting battle to watch. It's interesting too with Ballo because you want to stay out of foul trouble, but if you get deep sealed or something under the rim, you don't want to give away 2 points, and he's under 50% from the free throw line right now. So it's kind of a battle that you have to fight. How often do we want to put this guy on the line? That's why it's important Eddie makes it into the late stages of this game with 2 fouls, 3 fouls. Now you can take a foul. Can you put Ballo on the line with 3 minutes left as opposed to having to give him a dunk? Things like that. But it's going to be interesting. I'm really curious how they guard the guards. Caleb Love, Kylan Boswell, obviously both really good players, really dynamic players. Boswell hasn't really taken a step forward as a scorer like I thought he would. Still scoring a lot of points, still very efficient. He's their best 3-point shooter right now. But it's really Love that's getting a lot of the usage. So those CU guards, KJ Simpson, Julian Hammond especially, they're going to have their work cut out for them on both ends. It's a big ask.
Oh yeah, it certainly is. I mean, you're talking about another ranked matchup. You kind of look back to, the Miami game and have, semblances of hope of that. But that was that was also a neutral site. It was in Brooklyn. But the Buffs have shown that they are capable of beating ranked teams that are as good as, Miami. They have the assets. It's just, it's definitely, as you mentioned, it's definitely the little things, the details. It's staying out of foul trouble, the turnovers, all the things that Tad Boyle is trying to minimize. Some things are, we'll see how the cards fall tonight for sure. I mean, you're talking about two of the best scoring offenses in the Pac-12 right now. It's going to be a big game. And yeah, KJ Simpson and Julian Hammond, their guards, all of them have really their work cut out for them in trying to take down this team. But the women's team also playing Arizona. The Buffs are number 5 right now. Coach Jared Payne is leading an incredible program. They are kind of really doing everything right at the moment. They're winning a lot of games. They're playing a lot of good ball. Jalen Sherrod coming off a 34-point game. She is absolutely balling. I remember seeing your tweet. That was one of the best performances you've seen in that building. Just from, watching that team and just talking from J.R. Payne, what are you seeing going into this matchup and additional details you'd like to share?
Yeah, Jalen dominated that game. It was awesome. It was cool to watch because Friday night KJ Simpson dominated against Washington, and then Jalen Sherrod the next day did the same thing against Utah, and then KJ Simpson again on Sunday against Washington State. KJ talked after that game about him and Jalen's relationship. It was a cool soundbite. Um, but Jalen, yeah, 34 points. She was on the floor with Frida Foreman, who's been getting a ton of attention as CU's leading scorer heading into that one, and Alyssa Peely of Utah, the reigning Pac-12 Player of the Year, one of the top scorers in women's college basketball right now. And Jalen Terrell was the best player on the court. That was the difference. But she 34 points, 6 steals, I believe. And it was a huge win for CU. Top 15 matchup, get off the ground in conference play with a win. Obviously, there's still 4 teams in the Pac-12 that are in the top 10 right now. We were laughing during that game because it felt like an Elite Eight game, and it was between the third and fifth highest ranked teams in the conference. It's going to be a bloodbath. The Arizona trip on paper looks a little lighter. Adia Barnes in Arizona having a bit of a down year from what maybe we're used to seeing in the last couple of years. They just lost Maya Naji, little sister of Zeke Naji, for all my Nuggets fans. She has left the team, so that's kind of a break for CU. They lose an inside presence, so I would look for Aaronette Fonley and Quay Miller, especially, to have a bounce back. Quay was in foul trouble against Utah, didn't play a lot. Kind of a tough matchup for her as well. JR ended up closing with Sarah Rose Smith at the 4, which was a big time move. Sarah Rose Smith played awesome, allowed him to be a little smaller, a little more athletic. But I don't see a ton of problems this weekend for the Buffs. First league road trip is always tough, but they're such a veteran team. You know, I talked to JR about this yesterday. She said, you know, they kind of know the drill at this point. They've been around the block. So she wasn't concerned about any letdown on the road after a big win. So looking for a big weekend for the CU women.
Yeah, they've been such a consistent and really dominant team. I mean, they're number 5 in the AP polls for a reason. Like, they are playing their best ball. Like, this is a season where kind of the sky's the limit. I mean, you start the season winning against LSU and you just kind of go from there, the national champions. So, it's good to just see all the progress that Coach J.R. Payne has made throughout the years. And now everything is just coming to fruition. They have so many pieces, they have so much depth. And I think this weekend will, be a walk in the park. That's how, as you said, on paper, it looks pretty easy, but Arizona
The
is still a little, it's kind of a scrappy team. They just kind of have to stay back to their fundamentals and work efficiently.
the
All
next
the,
weekend after that is sorry to interrupt.
no, you're good.
But they have to avoid the trap this weekend because next weekend, I believe it's the 14th, is the Sunday. Yeah. They play
Mm-hmm.
Stanford in Boulder, and then that next weekend after that is USC and UCLA in Boulder. So 3 top 10 matchups in a 8-day span coming off of this road trip for the Buffs. So they do have to avoid the letdown, stay focused on the task at hand. But we'll find out a lot more about this team in the coming weeks because those will be some fun games at CUEC for sure.
Let's go. Very interesting. I will be at that Stanford game too. Hopefully we both get a seat.
Facts.
We will see. But yeah, thanks for sitting down with me, Troy. Thanks for tuning in, Buffs fans. We just want to talk some hoops. These are two very good teams right now. They, the Buffs 11-2. CU women's, they are, give me the record.
I think they're 11-1, 12-1. I'm looking. Podcasting, guys. Live
Yeah,
podcast.
live
11-1. Yes.
podcasting. Yeah, these are, both of them have been so productive in their non-conference schedules, have had some challenges along the way, but yeah, these are 2 very compelling teams. Breaking them down here with Troy on CU Sports Report. Thank you for tuning in, guys. And we will talk to you very soon.
Always a pleasure, Nikki. Thanks.